Well. Here I am to talk about like 34 games, because this is Gaming Pickups episode 50. 4 years later, 50 fucking episodes later, talked about, I don't know, maybe like 500 something games over, these years. And well, we're gonna make this the probably longest episode of them all. Definitely the most amount of games in an episode, I would think. So, yeah, a lot of these games I've had, like, since Con Bravo, and a lot of them were, like, July pickups, maybe some late June pickups, Just, a lot of this stuff is stuff I really should have talked about way the fuck earlier than this, but hey, it's still August. Let's not waste any more time. Now, where do I start off? How about the Con Bravo stuff, I guess. Here we have Darius Twin for the Super Nintendo. Now, we did a watch us play on this, and what really motivated me to get this game was the GameSack review of this game in, SNES Shoot 'em Ups Part 2. Thing is, I probably heard about the game beforehand, but when I saw that video, it really did convince me to get this, because the way that this game is structured and the way that this game plays, it just looked really great. And it is a great game. Darius Twin is a great game for sure. If you want to find out more details, I would say watch the GameSack video. But yeah, just the way that this game is structured, and, even other things like, how it seems like a pretty fair, difficult game. Fair and difficulty game, I should say. And, the two-player mode and just all this other stuff. It really makes for a great game and a solid shooter overall. And it's also, not terribly expensive. There was another Darius game on the Super Nintendo called Darius Force, but in North America it was called Supernova, but this is way better. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to playing this some more. Here we have Hal's Hole-in-One Golf, also for the Super Nintendo. Now, this game had also kind of caught my attention, also kind of because of GameSack when they talked about it in their sports games episode. And the thing is, I had many opportunities to get this game, like I could have potentially got it at Anime North and, at stores and whatnot, but I just wanted one that was, in really good shape, or, was just not feeling it at the time. Well, at Con Bravo, this was actually the first game I ever got, and, there, of course. I haven't played it too much, but it seemed like a pretty solid, enjoyable, golf game overall, from its swinging mechanics and whatnot, and it's by Hal, nice to look at. It's a solid game for sure, so if you, like golf games, you check this one out. Also, look at that cover. Can you guys see it? I don't know if the camera will focus. Another Super Nintendo game, Super Soccer. Now, what really kind of got me motivated to get this is because I was like, well, I have Super Tennis and Super Bowling. What about Super Soccer? Even though I'm not really a soccer kind of guy, but I was like, what the hell? It's a cheap game. Boost up the Super Nintendo collection a bit. Try something out. And I've played it a little bit, for a decent amount, more than Hal's Hole-in-One Golf actually. And it's a pretty solid game. I think it plays well enough. It does get tiring using the D-pad and all, because, the strain you're putting on, trying to get away from the team and whatnot. Or, the opposing team, of course. But, yeah, it's actually a pretty solid game overall. Is it possibly the best soccer game on the Super Nintendo? I don't know, but really solid stuff so far. It seems like a entertaining game. I wonder what, like, hardcore soccer / football fans would think about this. Okay, more Con Bravo stuff. Here we have Sega Superstars Tennis for the DS. Now, of course, Sonic fan was gonna get this. Just kind of postponed it. And, I still need to get the Xbox 360 version of Sega Superstars Tennis. But as for the DS version, well, it's tennis on the go. It's solid. It plays just about as well as you think it would, especially, on the DS and whatnot. If you liked Sega Superstars Tennis on consoles, get this. Kind of surprised there was no PSP version of Sega Superstars Tennis. But, yeah, good stuff. And Sega Superstars Tennis is a pretty, interesting game and whatnot. A solid tennis game on either console, I feel. Let's see. Championship Bowling on the Genesis. This game, wanted for a little bit because, hey, I do like to get bowling games and whatnot. And I think this game is actually kind of uncommon. I don't see it too often. So when I saw it there for $5, I was like, hey, why not? It's fun to get some small stuff at the convention and stuff. The game itself, it plays well. It's a solid bowling game. The music kind of sucks, but it gets the job done for sure. But I don't get why it shares the name of the NES game Championship Bowling, and then there's also a game for the original Xbox called Championship Bowling. I don't know why. Double Dragon 2 for the NES. Now, I talked about this in my NES retrospective, but in short, it's a decent game, but it's really brought down by, the unnecessary platforming, because, that just really brings down the game, because it's a fucking beat 'em up, and, just the way this game controls, it wasn't meant for that, and it really gets bad by, like, the 6th or 7th stage. It's just almost unplayable trying to play this game. But other than that, it's a decent, beat 'em up. But yeah, just watch the NES retrospective for more info. Fuck, what else? WarioWare Inc. Mega Party games for the GameCube. Now, I'd been wanting this for a while. Of course, I'm going to get all the Mario games, or at least as many Mario games as I can, but I never really got too many WarioWare games. In fact, this is my first WarioWare game. And I believe this is just more or less a port of the Game Boy Advance game, like the first WarioWare game, just with, more focus on multiplayer and whatnot. And, I've played it a little bit, and, it's just as good as I remembered WarioWare to be. I played WarioWare Touched on the DS and a little bit of WarioWare Smooth Moves. And they all seem to be pretty, fun, like, games, they all seem of high quality. And this is cool, who knows, maybe one day if there's another WarioWare game we'll get some sort of homage to Waluigi? I don't know. But yeah, I definitely look forward to playing this a lot more for sure. Here we have GT64 Championship Edition. Like a lot of N64 games, heard about this from Glenn Plant, and the YouTube user Glenn Plant, and I was like, hey, even though this is probably a bad game, let's try it out, because I do like the way the courses look in this game, like the city and whatnot. They do look nice and very colorful, but I wanted to see how the game plays. The game itself sucks. There's just an obnoxious, annoying, engine sound. There's fucking only 3 courses, even with the, extended paths and whatnot for the courses. And it just doesn't control well. It's just, everything feels like a drag. The game just sucks. It's not a good game. And yet it's one of the few sort of serious, realistic driving games on the N64, because if you want simulation, you're more so looking towards F1 games on the console. But yeah, GT64 Championship Edition, it has nice looking landscapes and decent looking cars, but it's not a good game. Here you have some PS1 games. We have Cool Borders 2. Now, what really got me interested in Cool Borders 2 is that the game actually did look, decently arcade-like. I bought Cool Borders 4 earlier, and I thought it was okay, but I was like, hey, this is probably a better game. I've played a decent amount of it, and I don't know, I just find this and the 4th game just hard to get into. I don't know if it's because of, the gameplay or the controls or something. I just find it tough to get into the Cool Borders games, but this is decent, it definitely does look very arcade-like, and, it's tolerable of a game, but, I don't know. I mean, I'm not seeing completely the whole hype behind the Cool Borders games, other than this being so far decent. But what's I think is a much better game, snowboarding game, is this game, Trickin' Snowboarder, also on the PS1. Now, I'd never heard of this game prior to Con Bravo. I saw it was made by Capcom. Well, it's actually published by Capcom. It was developed by Cave, which Cave also made, like, other 32-bit racers, like they made like Steep Slope Sliders on the Sega Saturn, and High Velocity also on the Saturn, just things like that. They've made like other racers on 32-bit consoles. The But this game, it looked interesting. The cover art is nice, and again, published by Capcom. You can even play as Claire. What was her name? Claire from Resident Evil. She's in this game. The game itself, from what I played, it's solid so far. It looks nice, it plays well, and it's just overall fun to go through. Though there probably might be a lack of courses. I don't know. Maybe you unlock more courses in this game's story mode or career mode or something. I don't know, but from what I've played, it's solid so far. It looks nice, it plays well, it's enjoyable. Could it be a hidden gem on the PS1? Maybe. I don't even see this game on eBay all that much, so yeah. More Con Bravo stuff. We're still not done with that. Vanguard on Atari 2600. I had not gotten a 2600 game all year, so I was like, when I saw this for like $2, I was like, why not? We'll get rid of some pocket change, and we can finally have a 2600 game appear in this style of gaming pickups where you actually see my face, because there hadn't been any 2600 games that appeared like that. Vanguard itself is a shooter, and an interesting one. You shoot in like multiple directions and whatnot, and I think maybe you can actually beat this game. I don't know if it's just score-based. I played a little bit of it, and I'll, revisit it some more. It's definitely an entertaining game, and a solid one overall. Okay, we should be almost done with Con Bravo stuff. I think this is the last one here. Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots. I already explained this in the video, but I basically just wanted this just because this was at one point in my PS3 collection, but we sold it twice, and I kind of wanted it back, but found it for $3, and I was like, okay, why not? I'm not into Metal Gear, and honestly, I remember when I used to see this game a lot, it seemed, it didn't seem like it was for me. It just seems like, and it also seems like the first and the second game just have a more fulfilling adventure, or an adventure that I'd be more interested to experience, but even so, I'm not into Metal Gear. So, yeah, just got it for the sake of nostalgia and for the collection overall. Okay, I believe that's all the Con Bravo stuff, so, or actually, no, there's one more here. Pandemonium on the Sega Saturn. Now, I've been interested in Pandemonium for quite some time. People mentioned it a lot because, the PS1 version, of course, which, was also, this game was also on the N-Gage. In fact, I found out very recently that Pandemonium actually had a sequel, simply titled Pandemonium 2, but only on the PS1, and it's kind of uncommon, and plus I need to play some more of this. But this is an interesting, 2.5D sort of platformer. It's very, creative with its level design and just overall gameplay. I think playing as Nikki, I believe her name is a lot better than Fargus because, she has a higher jump, and as a result, it just feels more satisfying to play through. From what I've played, it seems to be a pretty good game so far with its level design, and it's just overall satisfying just to double jump and rush to the end of the level with its sort of interesting take on gameplay and just good level design. So yeah, I definitely look forward to playing this a lot more for sure. Okay, I believe that's all the Con Bravo stuff. Yeah, okay. Let's, continue on, how about with another Sega Saturn game? Aquazone Desktop Life. I got this because, this was one of those Saturn games I'd heard about because of Segaga Domain, and, well, it's a fish tank simulator. At first, when I played this, I couldn't get very far, but then I had to delete some save data off the Saturn's internal memory to actually get past a menu, because if you don't, it just says caution. I haven't played much of this, but yeah, you take care of fish, you buy, like, backdrops and accessories for the aquarium. Weird stuff. There's, like, 5 of these or 6 of these on the Saturn, so somebody must have been buying them. But this one's common as dirt, and hey, you might get some entertainment out of it. Fucking, like, Panzer Dragoon Saga, Burning Rangers got you down? Get Aquazone Desktop Life. What else? Well, I have some more N64 games here to talk about. Here we have Forsaken 64. Now, I've been considering to get possibly a full Nintendo 64 collection, all 388 games, not just the North American ones. This one had interested me. For one thing, it's a really cheap game, and it's an interesting, like, kind of first-person shooter, but it's not like, a lot of other first-person shooters. It seems like you're flying around in, I don't know, I want to say like a UFO or a probe or some shit in these arenas of death, and you're just like, you hold like A to accelerate and you just shoot down everything. it's almost kind of like, I don't know how to describe this game. Just look it up. I played it a little bit, and I played it enough to get past the first mission, so I guess I accomplished something. It's interesting so far, but I don't know if I could form an opinion on this game, much less a review to tell you whether or not this is a really good game. Other than it's cheap, and there's, like, I believe a 4-player mode. It might be worth it, Forsaken 64. Yeah, how's that for a name? I mean, fucking... Gotta add 64 to the title. I think there's like 75 N64 games with 64 in the title. But speaking of N64 games with 64 in the title, Ridge Racer 64. I talked about this in the N64 retrospective. But I'll try and mention some things that I did not mention in that video. I actually got this like, maybe like what, July 10th or July 9th? And again, just talking about this now. I mentioned it in the N64 retrospective, but there are some things I wanted to mention. Like, for one thing, I was kind of taken by surprise by the drifting mechanics in this game. Like, for one thing, when you drift, there's no boost. It's just to help get around the corners. And, you gotta remember, the Ridge Racer games I played before this were Ridge Racer 6 on the Xbox 360 and Ridge Racer on the PSP. But, it's a pretty good game. All it does really is just take the course from the first Ridge Racer. I think one of the courses from Ridge Racer Evolution, and there's also a new course here. It just takes those courses and just makes, like, mirrored versions of those courses or, like, extended versions. So while there's only really 3 courses, they just, like, tamper around with the courses a lot to make it appear like, there's, like, 20-something courses or some shit like that. There's also a 4-player mode, so that's pretty cool. I really don't understand why Ridge Racer 6 doesn't have that. But yeah, it's just an interesting, like, sort of thing to see, such a well-known PlayStation franchise have a, entry on the Nintendo 64. Yeah. And also I wanted to get this in box. I'm sure as fuck glad I did it. This is a nice box to own for sure. Here's an N64 game I got really recently, though. NASCAR 99. Yeah, in the box, too. That's crazy. It actually has the manual, and the manual for this game is really fucking thick. Now, I saw this on eBay. It was like $3. Well, the shipping was like $13, but it's like, that's a pretty cheap fucking price, for a boxed N64 game. And, people were watching on it because, hey, they want to get all the North American N64 games. I'm getting all of them, Japanese and PAL. So, yeah, I just got this, in box. How's the game itself? Well, I suppose it plays okay. I mean, the steering is a little unforgiving. It feels like you have to slow down in order to make good turns. I guess in a sense of trying to be realistic, because, again, NASCAR and whatnot. The graphics range from almost passable to just fucking pitiful. It seems like they don't even know what they're doing. Whoever programmed this, I don't think EA themselves made this. Maybe it was like a other company and EA just licensed out NASCAR. I don't know. I wonder what NASCAR fans think about this game, or just, the NASCAR games in general, because, yeah. I guess NASCAR 99 is a passable game. Though it is, of course, great to have it in the box. I mean, that's just wonderful. Here we have a Super Famicom game. Again, one I've had since, like, probably late July. This is Magical Toru Toucan Magic Adventure. Or wait, no, actually I had this since mid-July. My mistake. So, basically, like, 97% of the games on this show, I got this because it looked interesting. And, it's a platformer. It's a one in decent length. In fact, I was actually kind of surprised to see that this game saves. So, yeah, I'm working on beating this. I think I'm almost done. It's based off of an anime that I, well, quite frankly, never heard of prior to hearing about this. Though I remember hearing about one of the Magical Toru Toucan games on the Famicom. But these games seem interesting. Like, this game is actually, it's a simple, fun platformer. But the Game Gear, Game Boy, and Mega Drive Magical Toru Toucan games actually do look, kind of fun. And this one's fun, too. It's, cheap, might be worth your time. Cut those tabs on your Super Nintendo and play a game with this character sticking its tongue out. Shoutouts to Yoshi's Island. Interesting stuff, it definitely gets the job done, actually. Was pleasantly surprised by this. Okay, here we have a Game Gear game, yet another Sonic game, Sonic Drift. Yes, Sonic Drift. Now the first game, I'm sure as we know already, was Japan exclusive. Not sure why. The second game did get a release in North America, Sonic Drift 2. And of course I had to get this, because gotta complete that Sonic collection and whatnot, and hey, it is nice to have another Japanese Game Gear game. Now, I've never really thought particularly well of Sonic Drift, especially the first one. I remember it used to piss me off because of the controls and whatnot, but then when you drift to, get around the corners easy, this game is still very unremarkable and without a doubt a poor man's Mario Kart. It should have been a Genesis game. I don't know why they put it on the Game Gear, because, it would have been a lot more competitive as a game if it was on the Genesis, and the first game wasn't released in North America. Maybe they just thought, maybe they just weren't happy with it, and I could see why, because this game is kind of shallow, and even the sequel, which fares better, again, why wasn't Sonic Drift just a Genesis game? This game had 4 characters, Sonic, Tails, Amy, and Eggman. I don't think Knuckles was even a thing when this game came out, so yeah, it just feels like kind of a half-assed game overall, and the first game, doesn't help its cause with the way it is, but hey, I beat it, so whatever, I got some amusement out of it. But yeah, I've never really thought particularly well of Sonic Drift, even when I played it a lot on Sonic Mega Collection Plus. Here's an interesting game, Dragster on Atari 2600. You might have actually heard of this game, because this game has actually become somewhat popular recently, mainly because of a video by Easy Escape on, a speedrun of this game. A speedrun where a man named Todd Rogers supposedly got a 5.51 in the game's timer, but then OmniGamer, dissects the game and finds out that, wait a second, a 5.51 isn't fucking possible. The best time you could probably get is a 5.57. Yeah, basically things like that. Just check that video out. And, admittedly it did get me somewhat intrigued by this, so I bought it, and, hey, for the sake of speedrunning, I tried it out. In fact, you can actually see, if you go on speedrun.com, and check out their page for Dragster, you can actually see one of my times on it. My best time is a 6.01. So yeah, how about that? The first speedrun game for me. The game itself, it's not very good. It's pretty unremarkable and shallow, even by Atari 2600 standards. But it's definitely got interesting, and it's, kind of, in public interest because of that video. But a lot of people would use emulators. In fact, me, Andrew G, and 2 other people are like the only people on speedrun.com to actually, use real hardware. Though Darbian has also been playing this game on real hardware recently, though on an Atari 7800 more specifically. So yeah, not a very good game, but it's interesting, and hey, I guess I got some amusement out of it. I don't know if I'm going to try and go for a lower time than 6.01, because I think that would require me actually knowing what I'm doing in this game. I don't. I just rock the joystick back and forth and hope for the best, and what do you know? I'm like, 15th place out of like 24 people on speedrun.com, or 23? Whoopity fucking do. Okay, how long is this? Alright, let's continue on with more games I've had for a while now. Here we have Triple Score, 3 games in 1 on the Sega Genesis. Again, this is like an early July pickup. And yes, it's a multi-cart. It has Super Hang-On, World Championship Soccer, and Columns. Now, I already own Columns, so, we're kind of already lacking in that regard. But the other 2 games, World Championship Soccer and Super Hang-On. I mainly wanted this game, which I have the cartridge right here, for Super Hang-On. And it's cool, too, because this game is really fucking cheap and common, especially in the case, too. Unfortunately, no manual, but whatever. It's always interesting to get another boxed Genesis game, which I don't even do all that often. Even if they're easier to find than, like, boxed games for any other system, it's still expensive, and whatnot. But in the case of this game, yeah, I mainly wanted it for Super Hang-On, because getting this complete is cheaper than getting Super Hang-On just the cartridge. As for World Championship Soccer, it's okay. I played a little bit. I think it plays well enough. Columns, hey, Columns is a classic, and it's fun, but I didn't play much of it at all in this cart. I already played it quite a bit on Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection, and a decent amount with the actual cartridge, though I do want to revisit Columns, because Columns is fun. But as for Super Hang-On, it took me by surprise, It actually controls and plays better than I thought it did, It actually is a very fun, arcade racer, and, it plays better than, like, GP Rider on the Game Gear, which is part of the Hang-On series, and even Hang-On GP on the Sega Saturn. It really did took me by surprise, because, of course, Super Hang-On is viewed as, like, such a classic, Sega arcade game from the 80s and whatnot, or 90s, whatever it was, and it definitely deserves that status for sure. It's actually pretty enjoyable. So yeah. Here we have sort of another bike racing game on the Genesis, Kawasaki Superbike Challenge. Now, what got me interested in this game is that if you look this game up, it actually has some sort of interesting 3D polygons going to it, kinda, maybe not in the sense of like virtual racing, like the Genesis version of virtual racing, but it looked interesting, and I got it. I played a little bit of it. It seems like it plays okay. The controls seem okay. The graphics are, interesting. The music is unremarkable. It's playable. It's a playable game, but, it's of course just really more interesting for the graphics. Like, look up this gameplay. The Genesis version in comparison to the Super Nintendo version. The Super Nintendo version is probably still a decent game, but the Genesis version has 3D polygons almost and whatnot. Interesting game, I guess, Hey, I got some amusement out of it. I'll play it some more, but I just want to play Super Hang-On every time I play this, though. So, yeah. Another game had since early July, Dark Summit on the GameCube. Now, this game is weird. I'd heard about it before because of, like, game FAQs and whatnot. And I was like, oh, that might be an interesting game for me to pick up for the GameCube at some point. It says only for GameCube, which, isn't true, by the way, because this is also on the PS2 and Xbox. Going into this, I thought it would just be like a fun, interesting little snowboarding game, but I think that this game is actually like a mission-based game. Like, you actually have to do missions when you're, going down the slopes and whatnot. It's weird. I don't know whether to call this game good or bad, but I couldn't really get into it much because of that. But whatever, it's an interesting footnote and piece of my collection, even though, what's up with these missions? I don't know. Holy fuck, okay, alright, fuck, what else? I don't know. Here we have Castlevania The Dracula X Chronicles for the PSP, a game I got the same day I got Ridge Racer 64. This game is, as we know, basically a remake of the good old PC Engine CD, or PC Engine, CD, Super CD, PC Engine Super CD-ROM, or whatever the fuck it was, or just in simple terms, PC Engine CD. But yeah, it's a remake of Castlevania Rondo of Blood. It also, of course, has the original and a port of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I'd had my eyes on it somewhat, but I never really decided to pull the trigger and get this. But then, my brother did. And I was like, okay, that's cool, It's cool to have definitely one of the most popular games on the PSP. Because, hey, the DS had 3 Castlevania games. And, they were all original, and the PSP had 1, and it was a remake. I think so far it's pretty good. I played a little bit of this. I'm not sure if people consider this the definitive version of Rondo of Blood, like maybe the PC Engine version is a lot better. But it's definitely an interesting package, and it's great that it exists for sure, because even if you do own a PC Engine and a PC Engine CD, you probably don't own Rondo of Blood, because that's not a fucking easy game to find. In fact, I'm kind of surprised Konami never went in retrospect and just ported it in North America to the PlayStation 1. We had to wait till 2007 for it to happen on the PSP. It's interesting, and I'm grateful to have it in the collection, even if I'm, not terribly into Castlevania, but I do get amusement out of Castlevania for sure, and this is another solid game by the looks of it. Okay, oh my god, fuck, what else? Okay, how about some Microsoft stuff? Now, this one I'm going to be talking about here isn't really a Con Bravo pickup, but it almost kind of is. This is Amped Freestyle Snowboarding. the way what I say almost is because I got this at a store, not the store nearby Con Bravo, which was One Up Games. It was like a pawn shop called Cheapies or something. That was like, you know, the hell? Is that a rip? No, it's not. You see the thing? Okay, the thing is, when I bought this game at Cheapies, it was this copy right here. But the thing is, this copy came in like a case that I don't think is an original Xbox case. It looks more like an Xbox 360 case because of its lighter tint and just like quality overall. So for a few bucks, I bought another copy to actually get in an actual fucking original Xbox case. Because this is probably like what, the 8th original Xbox game I bought ever. I can't really play them because again, Xbox 360's compatibility is shit. But I wanted to get this because I was like, hey, you know, let's get a somewhat popular, well-known game on the original Xbox. It's an exclusive. Must have done well because there's also an AMP 2 and 3. 3 is on the 360. I played it a little bit, and it seems like it's a game that gets the job done. You know, plays well enough, I guess. Looks nice. But honestly, I don't think I could be fucked enough to like actually attempt to unlock the tracks. More tracks in this game. But I will say the cover art's nice. You know, this guy going like, yeah! Fuck yeah! Ninja Blade on Xbox 360 mainly caught my attention because it's an Xbox 360 exclusive. It's also on PC, but, you know, it's not on the PS3. It's, you know, a ninja game and whatnot. It seemed interesting. I beat the first stage, which took like 40 minutes. That's all I've really played through it. There's like quick time events and shit, which I have mixed feelings of. This doesn't seem like the worst example of quick time events, but it's a thing. Might play some more of it. It's passable. It's also really cheap, so if this looks interesting to you, try it out, though. It isn't engaging me in the same way as, say, like Shinobi on the PS2. But that same day, which was like fucking July 8th, god damn, I'm so late to these games, I got this game because it was $1, and I was like, holy shit, this is a thing. Rockstar Games presents Table Tennis, also on the Xbox 360. This was also on the Wii, but not on the PS3. Yeah, this game took me by surprise that it actually exists. You know, I think Rockstar made this maybe like to test out a game engine for Grand Theft Auto 4 or something like that. I don't know. How's the game itself? It plays surprisingly well, you know. It's table tennis. It gets the job done, though. Surprisingly, though, I mean, in all honesty, this almost feels like a game that was made for the sake of shit posting, because what the fuck is this game? But it's pretty good, actually. I'd recommend checking this out. And then another Xbox 360 game I got here is Xbox Live Arcade Unplugged Volume 1. There's no Volume 2 or 3, just saying. But there's games similar to this. This is one of like 3 Xbox Live Arcade compilations that Microsoft put out for the 360 that is basically just a compilation of just like a handful of Xbox Live Arcade games. In this case, we've got Bejeweled, Geometry Wars, Wick, Fable of Souls, Texas Hold'em Poker, Outpost, Keloqui X, and Hardwood Backgammon. It also includes a 1-month free subscription to Xbox Live Gold. Holy shit! I believe this game is actually packed in with some variations of the Xbox 360, because I remember seeing Xbox 360s in stores that said, you know, Xbox Live Arcade on it, you know, and I was like, huh. This game is pretty cheap and, you know, easy to find. Yeah. Played a decent amount of this. It's actually pretty nice, you know. You can get this for like $5, $4 or whatever, and you'll definitely get your money's worth out of this. Though there was never a Volume 2, there are other Xbox Live Arcade compilations on the 360, and also one on the original Xbox, so yeah, good stuff. Nice little compilation for sure. Okay, I guess 2 more Nintendo things, and then we'll end this off with all Sony stuff. We have Jackal for the NES. Konami does it again with another solid action title, I believe originally from the arcades. I mentioned this a little more in the NES retrospective, so check that out. But one thing I'll mention is that this game seems fair and easy enough. Not easy, but fair and well made and balanced enough to where I could actually beat this at some point. And I did play this a decent amount, because I borrowed this from my friend Fabio, but now I have my own copy, so that's pretty cool. And the last Nintendo thing I guess we'll be talking about in this video is Koro-Rimpa Marble Mania for the Wii. I believe this is probably the 7th or 8th Wii game to appear on Watch Us Play, so that's pretty cool. Now, Pete Dorr talked about this game in one of his videos. I think he was mentioning how this game is actually really hard to find, or it's uncommon, and yeah, he's absolutely right. This game, I remember seeing this game on eBay for 60, 70 bucks. Now you can get it a little cheaper, but I saw this at a game store for 20, and I was like, I still see some assholes trying to charge 90 for this game on eBay, so before anyone gets the wrong idea, I should probably pick this up. The sequel is also on my mind too, Marble Saga Koro-Rimpa. It's easier to find too, so if you can't find this, don't feel too bad because you'll get that game. But yeah, you just roll a marble to the end of the level. It controls well, plays well, and it's really great stuff. If you like Super Monkey Ball, you'll probably like this game, The motion controls work well enough, and dare I say that this is a better game than Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz on the Wii? Yeah, pretty good stuff, and it's also great to own, for sure. Okay, we're gonna end this off with some Sony stuff, so let me get that right here. Okay, here we have PS2 games. Here we have Hot Shots Golf 3 and Hot Shots Tennis. Games that I'm really happy to finally have because... Okay, what the fuck was that? That's, I guess, just something downstairs. But these games I'm happy to have. Must have been my brother, I don't know. But I'm really happy to have these games because these are games that, I almost have some sort of childhood memories with. Because I did not own a PS2 growing up, but I remember one game that I almost always had in my mind was Hot Shots Golf. I was like, yeah, isn't that a really popular, great game that I liked or something? I remember playing at a friend's house or something. And then, a few years ago, I found out it's Hot Shots Golf 3 more specifically, not the first one. The first two were on the PS1. So I'm glad to finally have this. Hot Shots Golf 3 is a great game. It, just looks well, it plays well, It's such a great golf game, you can just sit down for half an hour, get through some 18 holes, play through the tournament. It's a joy to play. I would absolutely recommend this, or, Hot Shots Golf 4, even, and stuff. Great stuff, for sure. Same can be said for Hot Shots Tennis. I haven't played this as much as Hot Shots Golf 3, but again, it's solid, tennis action. This came out somewhat late in the PS2's lifespan. It came out in 2006, whereas Hot Shots Golf 3 came out in 2001. But yeah, this is also good stuff as well. It seems, I can tell by just playing this, it's, a basic tennis game. You get in there, anybody can play it, anybody can enjoy a match. This game had a sequel called Hot Shots Tennis Get a Grip on the PSP, and those are the only two Hot Shots Tennis games, whereas, Hot Shots Golf has had many entries on lots of Sony platforms. I believe Hot Shots Golf is coming out on the PS4 soon. Maybe it already came out. I don't fucking know. For this next game, I need to get this game right here to make a point. Okay, so... have you guys heard of this game? Aquapazza Aqua Plus Dream Match. This is not a recent pickup, I'm just showing this off just to prove a point. But have you heard of this game? This game is great. It really took me by surprise. Probably one of my favorite fighting games, actually. But here's the thing: if you like this game, you're gonna like this game. Arcana Heart 3 Love Max, also for the PlayStation 3. They're pretty, similar. The combat system seems to be the same with, a weak attack, a medium attack, and a strong attack. There's no partner in Arcana Heart 3. And, hey, they're similar because they're both, fighters with lots of anime and stuff. Woo! Yeah. Now, Arcana Heart 3, I did not hear about this game until I remember I walked into an EB Games at a mall and saw this, and I was like, hey, what the hell is this? And, yeah, I was like, Arcana Heart, wait, yeah, that's like that PS2 game, Arcana Heart, right? Well, yeah, it's part of the series. Now, Love Max. Well, before I mention, this is also on the Vita, so I guess if I ever get a Vita, I'll probably get this game on the Vita as well. What this is that I believe this is an updated version of Arcana Heart 3, which Arcana Heart 3, I believe, was a game that originally came out in 2009, but in 2014, more specifically May 29th, 2014, in Japan, they got an updated version for the PlayStation 3, and it wasn't until September of 2014 to where North Americans finally got their hands on not only Arcana Heart 3 Love Max, but just Arcana Heart 3 in general. But yeah, this fucking came out in 2014. You know, how rare is it to where I actually talk about games that came out in the current decade? Especially that fucking recently? My show is older than this fucking game. This updated version of the game. But anyways, yeah, it's another anime-based fighter, and if you liked Aqua Plaza, Aqua Plus Dream Match, you're gonna like this game. And I'm liking this game a lot too, you know? Because it's similar, it plays well, you know, it's got a ton of stages, you know, which is great, and all the stages look great. The combat plays well. There's, like, you know, various stories to unlock for characters. Heartful tales, as it says on the back of the box here. Also, not to mention, this cover art's great, you know. I'm definitely gonna play a lot more of this. I think I probably can, since I, you know, finished Tales of the Abyss recently, so now I have more time. Before I played, again, a great time, a great game. We did a short watch-us play on it, so... yeah, that's something. Really happy to have this, too, you know. It's really great to finally show the PS3 some more love. I just noticed a stupid joke I made. Here's some more PS3 action for you. It's also a type of fighting, though not fighting game necessarily, but kind of whatever. This is WWE 13 on the PS3. Now, you might be saying, why'd you get this? This just seems kind of random, and it doesn't seem like something I would normally get. I'm not a wrestling fan, but, you know, I can possibly get some amusement out of it, but not really. I don't know. Now, why did I get this, though? And why did I get WWE 13 specifically? Well, this game actually has some sort of almost sentimental value, kinda not really. Okay, so back in August of 2014, that was when we, you know, started Watch Us Play, okay? And, you know, it was throughout that summer, all those times I hanged out with friends and we played games and whatnot, I was thinking, you know, this could probably work out. We could really record this shit. And one game that I remember playing that really got me thinking about that, not saying that was this game, not saying that this game was the sole cause to start Watch Us Play, but there was one time where my friend Sean, he brought this game over, you know, and me, and my friends, you know, Jason, Jimmy, and Fabio, along with him, of course, we'd all played this, and, you know, we just, like, all had a great time. We were all, like, you know, just, like, laughing and just entertained by this game, and so was I. I actually got this game, like, you know, in the mail at least today, you know, the day I'm filming this. I don't know what I'm doing in this game, you know, because I don't know what I'm doing in any wrestling game, but it's just great to have for sentimental value, and, you know, it's entertaining, you know, and hey, gotta boost up the PS3 collection, so it's great to have this, you know, for sure. For that memory alone, that it was just one of the many games that really triggered my, decision, or really motivated and helped my decision to finally start the show Watch Us Play, though not the sole cause, it was just one of them. And the last game we're going to be talking about here is Ridge Racer 7, again, also a PS3 game. Of course, I wanted this. It wasn't something immediately that I was going to get. I also found out that this game is not as common as I thought. It's not uncommon, it's just not as common as I thought it would be. This was a launch title for the PS3, and, you know, hey, when I got this, I was excited to play it, and I've played it, you know, and it seems like it's a great game for sure. For one thing, it seems a lot faster, but also a little harder than Ridge Racer 6, you know, because Ridge Racer 6 I put like 10 hours into. Ridge Racer 64 I put like 7 hours into, so, you know, I've played a decent amount of Ridge Racer from what I can, of course. But this game seems like to be still pretty good too, you know, the graphics are, of course, outstanding, and so is the gameplay, but again, it just seems like a slightly harder game, and also a faster game too. And also, it reuses courses in many cases from Ridge Racer 6, so yeah, how about that shit? But if you like Ridge Racer 6, or Ridge Racer in general, you'll also probably like this game. This video is too fucking long, but hey, I figured for the 50th episode and almost kind of like a 4-year anniversary of this show, decided to talk about all of them. I mean, hey, Metal Jesus Rocks' gaming pickups videos are usually long like this, so yeah. See y'all later. Gotta put away all this shit now. I've already put away some of it though, so yeah.